Welcome to the Feast of Tabernacles. I'm going to give everybody a hand and give the Lord a hand tonight. Everybody made it out to the Feast of Tabernacles. And we're going to show you what this night is all about. And the name of the lesson is Feast of Tabernacles The Ingathering. Feast of Tabernacles The Ingathering. Now, you know, I always say that us doing the feast and everything, we're showing you the plan for God's plan for the salvation of men. And that's what his feasts are all about. And this is why we're doing it. One, because he commands us to do it. But then you have to know why you're doing it. And most people, when you tell them about the feast, they say you ain't supposed to do it no more. But then you say, well, why not? Or tell me about the feast. They can't tell you. So for all those who are going to be listening to this or be watching this, sit down and listen and open up your ears and put the cotton in your mouth and listen, because that's what Israel's problem is. They don't want to listen. Now we most assuredly as Israelites are supposed to be keeping the feast.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm not going to hold you long tonight, but I'm not going to try to. So we're going to start this off as always in Leviticus the 23rd chapter. Leviticus 23, and we're going to pick it up at verse 4. Leviticus 23 and verse 4. Glad to see everybody come out tonight.
Amen.
Leviticus 23 and 4. Go ahead and read that.
These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season.
Now, you know, these are the feasts of the Lord. These are not the Jews' feasts. The Jews, God told Moses to tell the children of Israel to keep these feasts. He said, which you shall proclaim in their season. So we're going to get down to the Feast of Tabernacle, because this was season that we're in right now. We just had the day of memorial blowing of the trumpet. Then we had the Day of Atonement. Now it's time for the Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Ingathering. So skip down to verse 33. Skip down to verse 33. Go ahead and read it.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of this 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord.
See, so this feast is going to be for 7 days unto the Lord. 7 days. Go ahead and read. Now, some people might say, well, it's not the 15th day of the 7th month. It's the 15th day of the 10th month. According to the lunar calendar, this is the 15th day of the 7th month. Read that verse again.
Verse 34.
Speak
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, The 15th day of the 7th month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles for 7 days unto the Lord. On the first day shall be a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
He said he didn't say don't do no work, did he? He said no servile work. Now, of course, you know, this feast fell a day before the weekly Sabbath. Right? Because the weekly Sabbath just ended, and now we are in a Sabbath of the Lord, the Feast of the Lord, right? So we had to cook on the Sabbath, didn't we? We're going to get to that in a minute. I'm going to show you. This feast trumps the Sabbath, the weekly Sabbath.
Yes,
this feast trumps that. But go ahead and read, though.
Verse 36.
7
days you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. On the 8th day shall be a holy convocation unto you.
Now wait a minute. He said on the 8th day, on the first day is a holy convocation, and on the 8th day is a holy convocation. How do you get to an 8th day without getting to a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? But some people try to say that the 8th day is not a part of the Feast of Tabernacle. You mean Lord just got a feast he just threw out there called 8th day, and he got got a Feast of Tabernacle and he wants you to celebrate for 7 days, and he just threw an 8th day out there? That don't make sense to me. But anyway, go ahead and read.
And ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. It is a solemn assembly. And ye shall do no servile work therein.
Now he said this day is a solemn assembly. So we don't feast this day. Everybody understand? You feast for 7 days, and the 8th day is a solemn assembly. Verse 37.
These are the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations, to offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord, a burnt offering and a meat offering, a sacrifice and drink offering, everything upon his day.
Now, wait a minute. Now, we don't do no sacrifices and all that stuff no more, right? Because the Lord had it written over in Daniel, he's going to call sacrifices and oblations to cease. What are these oblations? That's this drink offering and stuff like that. So he said, you're going to have the burnt offerings, but we don't do that no more, right? Verse 38, go ahead.
Beside the Sabbaths of the Lord, and beside your gifts, and beside all your vows, and beside all your free will offerings, which ye give unto the Lord.
Go ahead.
Also, in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto the Lord 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath. On this 8th day shall be a Sabbath.
See, it's going together, right?
Yes, sir.
It's going to, he said, on the first day be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. So he's running these days together, isn't he?
Amen.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 40.
And
ye shall take you on the first day the boughs of goodly trees, branches of palm trees, and the boughs of thick trees, and willows of the brook. And ye shall rejoice before the Lord your God 7 days. And ye shall keep it a feast unto the Lord 7 days in the year. It shall be a statute forever in your generation. Ye shall celebrate it in the 7th month. Ye shall dwell in booths 7 days.
now, we don't do the booth things no more because that was temporary. Even when you go over there and see Jesus, and we're going to read that in John the 7th chapter, keeping the Feast of Tabernacles along with the rest of the people, you don't see them dwelling in booths. So this booth thing was a temporary thing. Verse 43, go ahead.
All that are Israelites born shall dwell in booths, that your generations may know that I made the children of Israel to dwell in booths.
Go ahead.
When I brought them out of the land of Egypt, I am the Lord, your God. And Moses declared unto the children of Israel the feast of the Lord.
And now he said, how many times he done said the feast of the Lord? At least 3 times we have read this, right? The feast of the Lord. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 16th chapter. Because everybody's got to come up to this feast.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's got to come up to this feast. We had Deuteronomy 16, and we're going to pick it up at verse 13. Deuteronomy 16 and 13. Go ahead and read it.
Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. After that thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant and the Levite, the stranger, and the fatherless.
Look at that. He said the manservant, the maidservant, and the Levite, and the stranger. So the stranger can be included in this too.
Yes, sir.
That's why I don't understand what the Israelites keep talking about, trying to exclude the stranger. You're trying to exclude the stranger. But the stranger is included in this. Go ahead and read.
The stranger and the fatherless. And the widow that are within thy gates.
See, everybody got to show up for this feast. Go ahead and read.
7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God in the place which the Lord shall choose. Because the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thine increase, and in all the works of thine hands. Therefore thou shalt surely rejoice. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose. In the feast of unleavened bread.
We kept that, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Feast of unleavened bread. Go ahead.
And in the feast of weeks.
That's the feast of harvest, which men call Pentecost now. Go ahead and read.
And in the feast of tabernacles.
And in the feast of tabernacles. Go ahead and read.
And they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
So when you come to the feast, you're supposed to bring something. You know, you're supposed to bring. So he said, and they shall not appear before the Lord empty. Verse 17.
Every man shall give as he is able.
Now, see, you don't have to go all out and spend all your money and everything. He said, give as you are able. You know, just like when you go out and buy that car. You don't go out and buy no car you can't really afford. You get a car you can afford, right? Every man shall give as he is able. Go ahead and read.
According to the blessings of the Lord thy God, which he hath given thee.
Now, let's go to Exodus, the 23rd chapter. Back up to Exodus 23rd chapter, because he called it the Feast of Tabernacles, right? Let's go to Exodus, the 23rd chapter, pick it up at verse 14. Exodus 23 and 14. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year.
Now, we just read that in Deuteronomy 16th chapter, right? You're supposed to keep this feast 3 times in the year, right? So now we read the same thing. Go ahead and read it.
15.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread.
Uh-huh.
Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month Abib. For in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty.
Uh-huh.
And the feast of harvest.
Stop right there. And the feast of harvest, he called it the feast of weeks the first time, right? This is the same feast, though, which we call Pentecost now. Go ahead and read.
And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering.
Stop right there. What is feast? He said the feast of ingathering. What comes after the feast of harvest? The feast of tabernacles, right? Yes, but he just called it the feast of ingathering, because that's what this feast is all about. It is about an ingathering. Everybody understand? Amen. Read that verse again.
And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year.
Go ahead.
When thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field. 3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before the Lord God. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice.
I'm sorry, stop right there. He said 3 times a year all thy males shall appear before the Lord God. But we've just read in Deuteronomy 16th chapter, everybody had to appear, didn't he?
Come on.
Don't mess with that. Let's go now. Let's go to Exodus, the 12th chapter, Exodus 12. Exodus 12, and we're going to pick it up at verse 14. Exodus 12, and we're going to pick it up at verse 14. Exodus 12 and 14. Go ahead and read.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations.
Now wait a minute, he said throughout your generation. We read earlier, he said you're supposed to keep this feast forever, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Right, he said you should, because you know, we're going to deal with, because you know, like I said earlier, the Sabbath just passed, right? But we had to cook on the Sabbath, right? Now, you know, you're not supposed to kindle a fire on the Sabbath, though, right? And every year somebody would call me and say, well, you know, can we cook? I'm like, yeah, you can. We know that the Feast of Tabernacles fell just before the Sabbath. So, you know, you got to prepare to cook the food on the Sabbath. Because most of everybody cook their food on the Sabbath, right? And the Lord allows that. Start that verse over again, verse 14.
14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
Now this is the feast of unleavened bread right here, but I want to show you something. Go ahead and read.
7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
Go ahead.
And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them.
Stop right there. He said, no manner of work shall be done in them. Not no 7-hour work. He said, no manner of work shall be done in them. Go ahead and read now.
Save that which every man must eat.
Save that excess. He says, save that which every man must eat. And save that, he means except that which every man must eat. Because if you keeping the feast for 7 days, then one of those days is going to fall on the Sabbath, right?
Come on.
Read that verse one more time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At the top, 16. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an unholy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat. That only may be done
that
of you.
only may be done of you, except the things that may be eaten, so you can cook on the Sabbath day, the weekly Sabbath day, the 7th day, you can cook on that day. Because the holy day, the Feast of Tabernacles, or the holy day trumps the Sabbath day. Everybody understand? Even if it had failed on the Sabbath day, we still could have cooked the Sabbath day. All right? Now, let's go now. Let's go now. Let's get started in this really. Genesis 49. Genesis 49. Genesis 49, and we're going to pick it up at verse 8. Genesis 49 and verse 8. Genesis 49 and 8. Everybody got it? Go ahead and read it.
Judah, thou art he whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's children shall bow down before thee.
Now, because we found out that this feast is called the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Ingathering, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, we're going to get down into this gathering because this is written all the way back here in Genesis. He said, Judah, thou art he whom thy brother shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies.
Thy brother's children shall bow down before thee.
Thy brother's children shall bow down before thee. Keep reading.
Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion. And as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come.
No, he said the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come. Go ahead, we're going to show you who this Shiloh is. Go ahead and read.
Until Shiloh come, and unto him shall all the gathering of the people be.
Now, so Shiloh is a him. He said, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. So Shiloh is a him then, ain't it? Because I know some people say, well, that's a place. That's a country or a city. No. Shiloh, it said, unto him shall be the gathering of the people. So we dealing with a him, this Shiloh, right?
That's right, brother. Yes, sir.
Let's go now. Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. I know this is everybody's favorite chapter. Deuteronomy 28. And we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Because in order for the gathering of people to be unto Shiloh, the people had to be scattered in order for him to gather them, right? We had Deuteronomy 28, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Deuteronomy 28 and 1. Go ahead and read it.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Go ahead.
And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Now he said, look, if you keep my commandments, I'm going to bless you, right? So we ain't going to go through all this. Skip down. Go ahead and read verse 3. Read verse 3.
3. Blessed shalt thou be in the city. Blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Now he said, if you keep my commandments, I'm going to bless you. Skip down to verse 15. Go ahead and read it.
15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Now, if you don't keep my commandments, all these curses going to come upon you and overtake you. Let's look at one of the curses the Lord said was going to happen. Skip down to verse 63. Skip to verse 63. And go ahead and read it.
And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoices over you to do you good, and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you.
So he said, look, I rejoice over you to do you good, and I will rejoice over you to destroy you.
Yes, sir.
He's an even-handed God.
Amen.
Go ahead and read.
And to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land which thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. He
said, I'm going to scatter you among all people. This is one of the curses. That's why I don't understand how the other brothers that said they're another nationality, why they can't see this right here. He said, I'm going to, and then understand that we're the ones that's been scattered among all people. On ships, just like the book says. How did Moses know this from 1450 BC and then it turned around and happened in the 13th, 14th, 15th century? How did he know this? Go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even to the other.
That lets you know who we are right there, don't it? Go ahead and read.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Now, you know that's us. We worship everybody's God but our own. So he said the Lord is going to scatter you from one end of the earth to the other. Let's look at that again. Let's go to Jeremiah the 9th chapter. Let's look at this again. Jeremiah 9. Because in order for him to gather you, you got to be scattered, right? Jeremiah 9 and 15. Jeremiah 9 and 15. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. I will scatter them also among the heathen. I will scatter them among the heathen. Heathen means nations. Yes, sir. Go ahead and read. Whom neither they nor their fathers have known. And I will send a sword after them till I have consumed them. Look, he said, I'm going to get you, even when I scatter you to these heathen, to these nations, I'm going to get you in those nations. And he's been doing that to us too, hasn't he? Every nation that we have went to, the Lord has been pouring out his wrath on us. Go ahead and read. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider ye, and call for the mourning women, that they may come, and send for cunning women, that they may come. All right, we're going to stop right there. Let's go to Psalm 110, Psalm 110. Psalm 110, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1. Because like I say, I always say he got to take this man down in order to make him obey. He got to whoop on him. You know how you do your child, you got to whoop them to make them obey? Not all of them. Some children are all right. But some of them, you got to tear them up, don't you? So now, so he got to come and take this man down to make him obey. Psalm 110 and 1, go ahead and read it. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. I'm just tired of saying it because it's just so clear. It's two right there, isn't it? David got two lords right here. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand till I make thy enemies thy footstool. Go ahead. The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. Now you see what he said? Rule thine in the midst of thine enemies. He's going to rule in the midst of his enemies. Go ahead and read. In the beauties of holiness, from the womb of the morning, thou hast to do of thy youth.
Skip down to verse 5. Skip to verse 5. Go ahead.
The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings
Ooh,
in the day of his wrath.
Who's this going to strike through kings in the day of his wrath? It's the Lord, because that's the one sitting at the right hand of the Father, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
What else he going to do?
He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with dead bodies.
Ooh, you don't hear about this in the other churches, do you? He gonna fill the places with dead bodies. Finish that.
He shall wound the heads over many countries. He shall drink the brook of the way.
Nobody told you about this, did they? Nobody don't tell you about the Lord when he come. He gonna fill places with dead bodies. Let's go now. Let's go, because he got to take this man down and beat him down in order to make him obey. Because you know our Gentile, well, I ain't going to say that. Let's go to Revelations 3. Revelations 3. Some people, you just got to beat them up to get them in line, don't you? Revelations 3. Revelations 3 and 10. Revelations 3 and 10. But he's going to have to come beat the whole planet up. Or she gonna have them fighting against each other, then he gonna start swinging. Right. My turn. Well. Revelations 3 and 10. Go ahead and read that.
Because thou hast kept the word of my patience.
He's talking to us now. He's talking to his servants.
Yes, sir.
You understand? Because y'all have kept the word of my patience. Because you are keeping now, you've been keeping the Sabbath day, keeping the Lord's feast days.
Hallelujah.
Because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Go ahead.
I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation.
Ooh, you know what this talking about? This hour of temptation?
Oh, yeah.
This talking about great tribulations. And who is this hour of temptation coming upon, brother?
Which shall come upon the world.
Which gonna come upon who?
The world.
See, this God right here, he started dealing with the world. He'll get you on an individual basis, but he really want to make his point. He'll deal with the world. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation which shall come upon what? All the world. Yes, go ahead and read.
On all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Now, so this event, this catastrophic event is coming upon the whole world. But the Lord said, look, I'm gonna keep it away from you though. I'm gonna save you though, Israel. Or I'm gonna save you, my servant, because it could be the stranger too. Let's go now. Let's go to skip down to verse 20. Skip down to verse 20. Go ahead and read that.
Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him and he with me. He put the call out there.
He put the call out there. Whoever, any man, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
He put the call out there. Look, open up the door. I'm gonna stand at the door and knock. What do you mean stand at the door and knock? I'm gonna hit you with my word. That's him knocking at the door when he hit you with his word. I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him and he with me. So when you hear this, don't harden your heart. Don't turn away from it. You have heard that Sunday stuff. You have heard that Islam stuff. You have heard that Kemetic stuff. And now you hear this, you got to know that this is the truth. You got to know that this is the truth. So when you hear this, he said, don't harden your heart. He said, look, open up and let me in, and I'm going to come in and sup with you. Verse 21, go ahead.
To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne.
We're looking at two different thrones right here, aren't we? Two different thrones, two different kingdoms.
Yes, sir.
See, most people don't understand. They don't recognize, when they read, they don't recognize we're looking at two different thrones. Jesus sitting right now in the Father's throne, right? But he said, he that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne. So he's got a throne. Everybody understand that? He's got a throne that's coming. Let's go now. Let's go to, read that verse 22, I'm sorry.
He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith.
Do you have an ear?
The churches.
Do you have an ear? Can you hear this? Can you hear this tonight?
Yes, sir.
Let's go now. Let's go to Daniel, the 12th chapter. Because this time that's coming, where the Lord going to fill places with dead bodies, it's going to be a catastrophic time. It's going to be a time like it has never been before. We had Daniel 12, and we're going to read one verse. Daniel 12 and 1. It's going to be a time that has never been before. Daniel 12 and 1. So I would behoove everybody to listen to this. Daniel 12 and 1. Will you get it? Go ahead and read it.
And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth before the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble.
And there shall be a time of trouble. Go ahead and read.
Such as never was since there was a nation.
Now you see that? This is going to be a time that has never been before. Since there has been a nation. Go ahead and read.
Even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered.
Thy children of Israel and the stranger.
Yes, sir.
Going to be delivered at this time. But this is going to be the worst time in man's entire history.
Come on, brother.
Go ahead and read that.
Yes, sir. At that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book.
Now everyone that's found written in the book. Let's look at what other time is going to be. Because it's going to be a time of trouble for Israel too. Let's go to Jeremiah the 30th chapter. Jeremiah 30. But he said he's going to deliver his people though, didn't he?
Sure enough.
Jeremiah 30. And we're going to pick it up in verse 3. Jeremiah 30 and 3. See, people need to pay attention to this. Always kicking against the feast. Always kicking against the feast. Then when you drop this on them, they got their mouth standing there with their mouth. They got their mouth sitting there wide open. I ain't never heard this before. If you sit down, put that cotton in your mouth and open up your ears, you can hear some more. We at Jeremiah 30 and 3. Jeremiah 30 and 3. Go ahead and read it.
For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord.
He said, look, I'm going to bring the captivity of my people again. In other words, I'm going to bring them out of that captivity that they in. Israel is in a captivity right now. We are still in captivity.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
And I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers.
Say what? Israel going back to their land?
Yes, sir.
Finish that.
And they shall possess it.
And they shall possess it. Skip down to verse 7. Go ahead.
Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it.
Go ahead.
It is even the time of Jacob's trouble. But he shall be saved out of it.
This is the same time that we just got through reading about in Daniel the 1st chapter. It's going to be a time of trouble. There's going to be a time of trouble since there has never been a nation. Since there has been a nation. He said, alas, for that day is great, so that there is none like it. It is even a time of Jacob's trouble. Who is Jacob? We are. So you think we got it bad now? It's going to be worse at this time for us. That's why you want to be on the right side. You want to be on the side of the Lord. Amen. So look at what he's going to tell you though. Read that verse again.
Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it.
But he shall be saved out of it. But he shall be saved out of it. See, there's hope for our people. The only thing we had to do is get back with our God and start worshiping him. But Jacob gonna be saved out this time. This great tribulation. Remember, who's this great tribulation coming upon? The whole world. But you, Israel, or you, my servant, it's not going to come upon you. What verse you stopped at?
8.
Go ahead.
For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck.
See, everybody that's got their foot in our neck, the Lord said, I'm going to break that yoke off of your neck at this time, Israel. I'm going to take their foot off of your neck. Go ahead and read.
And I will burst thy bonds. And strangers shall no more serve themselves of him.
They've been serving themselves of us for 400 years plus in this country, haven't they? Amen. Free labor. Our ancestors came here as slaves, and they worked them in the fields and had to work and do all type of stuff during the times of slavery. You know, we used to be craftsmen our people used to be craftsmen during the times of slavery. Knew how to, carpenters. You understand? All type of jobs we knew how to do. But we were doing it for freedom. The slave master was serving himself to us. He said, the strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. Verse 9, go ahead and read.
But they shall serve the Lord their God, and David their king.
And who?
David their king.
David their king, but David is in the grave at this time, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and read.
Whom I will raise up unto them.
Whom I will raise up to. So a resurrection has to take place for David then, doesn't it? Go ahead and read.
Verse 10. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity.
Go ahead.
And Jacob shall return and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid.
See, I just want to give you a little hope before we go into the rest of this. Because it's going to get worse before it gets better. Go ahead and read. Verse 11.
For I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations.
Stop right there. Though I make a full end of all nations. See, he's going to come and beat the nations down where they're going to have to submit themselves to God. He's not going to destroy them, like kill everybody. No, he's going to beat them down so bad it's going to be like waving a white flag. I give up, Lord. What you want me to do? But you got to make it through that great tribulations too, though. Finish that.
Though I make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee, but I will correct thee in a measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished.
See, you got to put some fat on your head, some wisdom on your head, because right now, Israel ain't trying to get no fat on their head right now. They still want to pagan worship and all that type of stuff. But at this time right here, the Lord will put some fat on your head if you're around. Let's go to Matthew the 24th chapter, Matthew 24. Because he said it's going to be a time of Jacob's trouble, but I'm going to deliver him out of it. I just thought I'd give y'all a little hope. Because it's going to get very bleak in a minute. Matthew 24 and 3, Matthew 24 and 3. Go ahead and read it.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
So now they ask him, what, because they understood it's going to be, end time is coming. Just like everybody now knows that the end time is coming. I was just watching, I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, couldn't even go back to sleep. So I turned on the news. Russia talking about coming against the West.
Yes, sir. And
the West talking about coming against the East. Well, we read that in Daniel 11 chapter. Was that like 2 weeks ago? And then it didn't say United States. It said the West. This thing is upon us. If you better get your house in order. Amen. We all better get our house in order. Because this right here, it ain't no joke. Go ahead, finish reading.
4. And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you.
What's going to be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world? Jesus said, look, don't let nobody deceive you. You understand? Don't let nobody come and tell you anything. Say, read that to me. Go ahead and read.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
Go ahead.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of war. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places.
Now we got this going on now, don't we? But it's going to get worse though. Before it gets better. It's going to get worse. Verse, he said earthquakes in diverse places. Verse 8.
All these are the beginning of sorrow.
All these are the beginnings of sorrow. Skip down to verse 14. Go ahead.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations.
That's already done happened, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
It's book in every nation now. All languages. Go ahead and read. That's how we know that this is the word of God. Because he told you right here, this is back in the 1st century, he told you this gospel must be preached into all the nations. And this gospel is being preached into all the nations. We got the internet now, don't we? We get hits all the way back from the Philippines. From the United Kingdom, people come on our website and look at our videos. You understand what I'm saying? This gospel is being preached into all nations. Go ahead and read.
Shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
Then shall the end come. But then he's going to drop something else on you right here. Verse 15.
When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place.
Go ahead.
Whoso readeth, let him understand.
He said, when you shall therefore see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel. See, you can't be no New Testament Christian. You understand? Because now, in order to find out about the abomination of desolation, now you got to go back to Daniel. Which we're not going to go to Daniel tonight. But he said, but when you shall see the abomination of desolation stand in the holy place, whosoever readeth, let him understand. What's going to happen? Skip down to verse 20. Go ahead.
But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day.
You mean in the end time, the Sabbath day is still going to be here? They still talking about the Sabbath day. And we all way in end time prophecy. Go ahead and read.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be.
Didn't we just read that over in Daniel the 12th chapter? He said it's going to be a time of trouble that's never been before since there has been a nation. Then we read over Revelation 3rd chapter, this temptation, this hour of temptation going to come upon who? The whole world.
Teach.
Everybody understand what we're dealing with here? We're dealing with end time prophecy. See, can't nobody, I don't care what you call yourself, Kemetic, Moorish, American, I don't care what you can't touch this right here. You can't touch this. Now, let's go to Joel, because he said this is going to be a time of great tribulations, right? Such as never was before, and shall never be again. Let's go now. Let's go to Joel the 3rd chapter. Joel 3. You ain't learned nothing else, man. You want to learn about this. And the 8th day, because, you know, the 8th day, that's the coup de grace. That's what we're here for.
Hallelujah.
The 8th day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, that's going to determine whether you really going to make this cut or not. Well, actually, the 7th day, but then you got to be changed. The ones that come up out of the grave, they got to be changed into a spiritual being to make it into the kingdom.
Teach, my brother. Teach.
But everybody got to go into the kingdom of God. And this is what we're here for. That's why we're here on the Sabbath to keep the feast and all this stuff, man. But the coup de grace is coming.
Yes, sir. Hallelujah.
We had Joel 3 and 1. Joel 3 and 1. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem,
go ahead.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Anybody seen anything like this yet? You seen anything like this? You ain't seen nothing like this. This talking end time. Go ahead and read.
And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
Ooh, he said they have scattered Israel among the nations and have parted my land. And we know who done this, don't we?
Yes,
we know it was the Edomites, the Ishmaelites, the Moabites, the Ammonites. We know who done it. Skip down to verse 6 though. Go ahead and read it.
The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border.
Go ahead.
Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head.
Ooh, verse 9. Go ahead. Skip down to verse 9.
Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war.
Prepare war. It's time for y'all to go to war now. Prepare for war. Because I'm going to have y'all fighting against each other, then I'm going to start swinging. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Proclaim war.
Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near.
Go ahead.
Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears.
He said, get your weapons of war together, because it's going to be a war. Get y'all selves together. Gird it up. Y'all can see the nations right now arming themselves, aren't they? They even started talking about some nuclear war and biological war when I was listening to the news this morning.